You're listening to another great podcast in the MyMac Podcasting Network.
Hello everybody and welcome to this special double bonus episode. I have two interviews which have been recorded recently and haven't managed to make it into a show. So I'm releasing them in this special bonus, and first of all we will listen to an interview with BeLight Software, and then in the second half, after the short interlude, we will have a word with Adobe about their Elements products. So, thank you for listening, and on with the interviews. First of all, we have Tanya Vert from BeLight Software, makers of a variety of apps, including Swift Publisher, the new Live Home 3D, and Image Tricks, and several others. So, welcome to the show, Tanya.
Thanks for having me.
That's no problem. And, of course, with me as well, I have Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hello. What a week.
What a week. Obviously, the main reason for today's show is to talk to Tanya.
We've got another guest.
Well, Donnie's here, yes.
Yeah, don't mind me. I'm
Sorry.
just fishing over here.
Oh, sorry, I got carried away. Look, never mind. That's right, you were here in spirit last week when you weren't actually here.
But I'm here this week, and it doesn't matter anyway, so.
Sorry, Donnie. Sorry. Yes, Donnie Yankelo is also here. But anyway, so, Tanya, tell us a little bit about yourself and, of course, a bit about BeLight Software. Listeners like to know a bit of history. So, tell us about BeLight.
So, I'm a PR specialist at BeLight. We create different apps, mostly for Mac, mostly in creative fields, in desktop publishing, graphic design, and interior design. As you mentioned before, Swift Publisher, ArtText for text design. We have Business Card Composer and so on. Well, a few apps there. And Live Home 3D, which existed on a Mac for several years, for I think more than 10 years. And last week we launched it on iOS.
No, yeah, I do remember Live Interior, but it was more of a sort of 3D modeler, wasn't it, originally, for for planning out your where you're going to put your furnishings and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it is so, but it builds up some new features every year. And with this release, we added AR support, which is provided by iOS 12. Well, it was in iOS 11, but this year's is more, I think it's developed this. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine because, yes, the AR features of iOS 12 have been greatly enhanced. So I would see that would be,
that's the word I forgot.
No, that's okay. That would be, very useful for such a product. So, I understand you told me in a note that you can now do, like a one-to-one AR walkthrough of your model. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So what is it? So when you go into AR mode, what does it do, and what can we expect? Because I've been looking for a reason to get into AR, and so far I haven't paid enough attention to it. But what can you actually do with a combination of your software and the AR view?
Yeah, there are a few options. You can see your house full with 1 to 50 scale or something like that, just to see the full house. Or you can go straight to 1:1 scale, and you're like inside the house you just built, and you can see through the windows what the camera of your tablet or iPhone sees. So it may be impressive if you're into this topic.
So you can build a house, lay out a floor plan, design it, and then actually walk through it using nothing more than your iOS device or Android device.
Yeah, you can place it right where your future house will be, and you'll see everything like you've already built it.
Excellent.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Definitely. And I will have to have a try. I admit that. And as I think it's important to point out to the listeners here that, by the way, the Live Home 3D is available to download for free. That's true, isn't it, Tanya? But there are
Yeah, that's right.
they're like in-app purchases to unlock some extra features.
Yes, the free version lets you create one project and auto-save it. But if you want to export it and save it and create another project, then you have to buy either standard features or pro features. The pro differs with one additional view. There's elevation view in this app, which is the first iOS app to provide this side elevation view.
Oh,
Usually only professional desktop apps have it.
yeah, very much so. That's
And also the Pro version has some enhanced advanced export formats and quality and so on.
yeah, but I mean, for a lot, the main point is if you're interested in even in just playing with it to see what it's like, you can go to BeLightSoft.com and download it for free.
Yeah, either you can go to the App Store and find it there.
Yeah, excellent. So just to sort of backtrack a bit, can you tell us a bit about the history of BeLight? Because I've been a user of BeLight software for many years. Swift Publisher, being as that is my field, Swift Publisher has been very much my recommended desktop publishing app for people who come to me and say, I want to do, make a poster, make a booklet, make a whatever. And I've looked at pages and I just don't really get how that's supposed to work. I've always pointed people to Swift Publisher because I find it to be a really cracking desktop publisher.
Yeah, that's what we wanted it to be. It's affordable and simple. And you don't have to have some special skills or be a professional designer to use it.
No, that is true. And it, of course, it comes with, I particularly like some of its features. I mean, obviously, it comes with a selection of, professionally designed templates to get you started if you're challenged by a blank sheet of paper.
That'll be me.
Yeah, well, lots of people are.
Yeah, actually, many users ask us to make more templates every time, and it's enough for them. They just customize them and use them.
Yeah, there's a very nice selection, I have to say, and you do have a feature which I really, really like and is not available even in many much more expensive applications. I'm looking at you, Adobe, and that's the Create Calendar function, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You just do insert calendar, and then you can set the dates and customize it to your heart's content. It's a brilliant feature.
Yeah,
I love that one.
Great.
I really like that. It's also, of course, very popular with a lot of the people who ask me about such things at my Mac user group, because many of them are, they like to make calendars and whatnot for their family around Christmas or whatever with the family photographs or their holiday photographs or whatnot. And that makes it, easy, really, really easy. And you have some lovely templates for calendars as well. So that's, and that's, what version is it now? 5, Tanya?
Yes, it's 5.
Yeah, version 5. So that's been going a long time. That really has been going a long time. It's a very, very good product.
Yeah, thank you.
No, and then there's ArtText, which
It is for lettering and text design, and they can work together with Swift Publisher, by the way.
Yep, indeed.
There we have many templates, I think, as well. But
oh yeah,
recently we've launched the smaller brother of ArtText, Letters, which provides hundreds of pre-designed text design templates. So users just customize them and, well...
Yeah, now if people are not familiar with ArtText, it's a tool that allows you to create a variety of 3D shapes with lettering, to do all sorts of effects. You can make that sort of glass lettering, or grungy metal, or hundreds. And ArtText is now, I think, on version 3.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
as like many such products, it's brilliant, but it has also, as it's expanded its capabilities, become quite complicated. There's a lot of sliders and a lot of effects and a lot of things that you can do.
I actually reviewed ArtText 2 back in 2008 at mymac.com. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, and I've used ArtText. I've used ArtText. I can't say it's something I fall back to all the time, but previously, before ArtText came along, a lot of those things, if you wanted to do them, you needed to be a Photoshop, master. And with ArtText, that you can make them quite simply. You don't have to be, deeply skilled to be able to create clever 3D effects, or lettering with images in it and all sorts of lovely effects. But as I say, in expanding its powers, it's also become much more complicated. And I think the launch of letters is ideal, because that's almost, in some ways, if you're not interested in all the fiddling with all the effects, then letters is ideal. It's in a way going back to ArtText 1 in some respects, where it's much more about the templates. You pick something you like, and then you can just modify it a bit. So
Yeah, that's right. When we released ArtText 3, we received many requests to return these templates that were in the previous version, and we thought that they are a bit outdated in ArtText 2, and time moves on and we don't have to take them to the next version. But then we received so many requests that we thought that we need to create some new templates, and that's how Letters was born.
Yeah, and I like that. I think that's very good. I mean, you could almost say it's kind of like Photoshop Elements and Photoshop. ArtText has become a very powerful application, which is great. And if you're like me and you've worked your way from ArtText 1, ArtText 2, ArtText 3, then that's a constant progression of expanded abilities. But if you come to it fresh, it's quite a challenging app to look at. So I could see where a lot of people would be much happier with the simplified version, in the same way as a lot of people don't want to try and master the technicalities of full-blown Photoshop, and therefore they can turn to apps like Photoshop Elements, or of course you also have a really rather good photo tool, don't you? Image Tricks.
Yes, it's in version 3 as well, I think, but to be honest, we're not focusing on this app at the moment, so it's not in active development now.
No, but it again, it's a very a fairly simple application, but it allows home users to do a lot of effects, which again, previously, if you wanted to do things like the curled over corner of the page, you couldn't do those sort of things unless you were an absolute master of Photoshop or some other very clever tools. And Image Tricks very much does do, if you like, tricks. So I've always liked that. I've always thought that was a natty little app. And sometimes I've used it, to get quick effects, because why go into Photoshop and spend half an hour doing it something that I can open the picture in Image Tricks and go, right, I'll have a curly corner, please. Thank you very much. That will do nicely. So that's a very nice app. I'm really quite taken with the whole range.
I know the Live Home 3D you can do on iOS. Are there plans to bring like ArtText or Letters to the iPad or iPhone?
Yeah, we're considering it, but I think that not earlier than in a year. First, we have to move to Metal.
Okay.
And then we'll develop this app on iOS.
Yeah, well, one step at a time.
That's, just touching on the metal thing. What I know you work in the PRC, maybe it ventures into the technical realm. Are you moving into metal for any particular reason, or is it just purely you will get better performance out of it?
Yes, for the sake of performance.
Well, am I? I'm not wrong here, I don't think. Am I, chaps? Didn't Alex Sepko tell us that you have to use metal if you want to go on iOS? iOS doesn't support anything except metal, I don't think.
Well, in the future, I think that they stop accepting apps with.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that I can talk about such technical things.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Absolutely. As Mark said.
If you've ever listened to the show, we're not exactly qualified to talk to you about anything technical as well. So
we're not really qualified. Hey, we're not qualified to talk about anything. Never mind technical. No, I'm pretty sure Alex said that they had to rewrite all of Luminar, I think. I can't remember now. But I know one of the guests said that you have to use metal if you're going to work on iOS. And that was why they were gradually rewriting all of their Mac apps to be... Oh, no, I don't think it was Alex. I think it was Ashley Hewson from Serif when he was talking about Affinity Photo. But anyway, there we go. That's another story altogether. I'm pretty sure that's the thing. And I'm also pretty sure, Tanya, I think I agree with you that I'm pretty sure that in time Apple are going to deprecate everything except metal on the Mac as well.
Yeah.
So
I have another question with the Live Home app. My sister-in-law does gardening, and she plants gardens for people. Now I see there's like touches of flowers and trees and stuff, and I'm assuming it's mostly for interior, but would someone be able to use this for specific exterior gardening purposes also, or is it more of an interior app?
Well, currently, yes, but we are developing landscape features for the future version. We've already started. Currently, we don't have landscapes, but we have some outdoor things.
Like
plants
decoration.
Yes, plants, decorations, pools, fences.
Yeah, that's something.
Trees. Oh, yeah.
There's been a time where obviously there are other competing products out there. What would you say has been the secret to keeping the company's longevity, if that makes sense? Because obviously, Simon dropped the A word there, and there's always up and coming startups and things like that. What do you think has been one of the secrets of keeping BeLight Software going?
We're trying to innovate all the time. We're not stopping our apps development, like with this Live Home 3D. We're always adding new features and trying to be the first, like with elevation view. And we're trying to add some pro features to the apps that are not for pros. It's not a difficult CAD program, but it has some features that other guys on our platforms, like on iOS, they don't offer them.
Excellent. And I'm just looking here. I see.
For example, many competitors don't even have roof features at all. They can let you only build what's inside, but you can't build even a roof. And we have advanced roof features and a big choice of types of roofs and domes. And
excellent. And I see here that that you mesh with the SketchUp 3D warehouse for the interior models, which I know the SketchUp.
Yes, we have. Sorry.
No, I was going to say I know that the SketchUp warehouse has a huge collection of interior models, many of which are supplied even by the manufacturers. So particular types of chairs and desks and so on.
Yes, we have our built-in library of 2,000 something object, but it's not enough. People always want something customized, and they can find almost everything there.
Yeah, very, very much so. I know.
And for free. What's more, it's free.
Yeah, that is true. It is free. That is correct. I know one of the members of our Mac user group is a professional architect, and he uses SketchUp a lot for visualizing, for clients because of the SketchUp 3D warehouse. So the fact that your app also supports that is a big bonus, I'm sure. And I see here as well, you've got you've got here apply materials, which I'm sure is no doubt, uses some of the technology from ArtText. I have no doubt about that, looking at that screen, for applying textures to tables and so on, I see here.
Yes, and you can do it with simple drag and drop. What's more, you can create custom materials right in the app with Pro version.
Lovely. Oh, I see here, yeah, light fixtures, adjust the brightness and colour of light fixtures. Yes, very, very nice. And as I say, I've been a BeLight user for many years, and I've always found all of your apps to be, simple to use and affordable and, really rather good. To answer Mark's question, sort of on your behalf, they make good apps and they sell them at a reasonable price. And that keeps their customers coming back. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Well, we've been going quite a while, Tanya. So would you like to just promote where people can go and, look at the BeLight products? I've mentioned it already, but give us a rundown.
Okay, you can find all our products at www.belightsoft.com. And we have several different sites, but you'll find everything on that website.
What about the social medias? You've got the Twitter, the Facebook. If any of our listeners have got any questions or they want to reach out to BeLight, what would be the preferred way?
Well, they can write us on Facebook, Twitter. It's also BeLight Software. And they can write us. We have support form if they have some particular questions.
Excellent. At BeLight Software. There we go. And yes, there's a huge selection of products, by the way, not just the ones we've mentioned. There's a Get Backup, there's a label maker, there's a business card composer. I will mention Printworks, Tanya, which is a sort of Swift Publisher plus all the other bits chucked in, isn't it?
Yes, it's like Swift Publisher plus Business Card Composer plus Labels and Addresses and plus Discover. All our desktop solutions are there.
Yeah, packaged into the Printworks app, which is, again, excellent if you want all of them, and if you only want one. Again, I like the fact that you can buy, you can buy effectively the bundle, or you can buy the apps individually. Well, thank you for coming on, Tanya. Thank you very much for giving up your time on a Sunday.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for the invite. I was happy to talk to you.
I have with me Kamal, who is from Adobe Elements, and we're going to have a special interview with Kamal all about the latest version of the Adobe Elements products, which are, of course, Elements Photoshop and Elements Premiere. So, welcome to the show, Kamal.
Thank you, and I'm really glad to be here, Simon.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. As I said before the show, obviously, previously we had Bob Gager. Last time there was an Elements update. So, you're following in some some fairly prestigious shoes, as it were, but I'm sure you'll be fine. So, before we go any further, Kamal, a bit of history, I guess. Would you like to tell the listeners, how you came to be working at Adobe and what you do now, and what exactly it is you do, with respect to the Elements products?
Sure. So I have been with Adobe a little over 12 years now, and I started my journey as a product manager into the Elements world for a little over 4 years now. This is my fourth release as an Elements product manager. My journey into the software and the IT industry is, I have done a lot of different things. I started as a software engineer in a startup, and then when I moved in the Adobe, I continued my journey as a software engineer. But it's luckily Adobe has always given me an opportunity to work on any new project, new one or two product, which Adobe is always interested in working on. And while working on all of these 1.0 products as a software engineer, I somewhere figured out that, my real essence and my soul is actually lying where I can think of really how can I help the customers whom I'm going to deliver the products. Everybody look at me, all of my team members and my seniors were looking at me as a go-to person to a liaising person between the product management or the customer and the engineering. And that's where I found my sole work interest eventually. And I became a product manager into the Elements 4 year back. I started as a Premier Elements product manager, and that's my primary roles and responsibility. How to nail the video editing, which is anyways the difficult nut to crack, especially for the everyday video capture workflows. But that's how I have my career progression happened in Adobe, and I'm really thankful to Adobe for giving me the opportunity to work on the areas which interest me. And yeah, I mean, Elements is like my dream job in a way. And I landed in working through the Elements, and how I can help the consumers in editing and cherishing their memories, which they click in their day-to-day moments. So that's how I have my career journey so far in Adobe, and I look forward to how I can take Elements to the next level.
Excellent. That's very good. So, would you like? I'm sure most of our listeners know exactly where Photoshop Elements and the Premiere Elements come from, but for any who don't, or for any new listeners who didn't hear the last Elements interview, would you like to explain to us some of the history of the Elements line?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Elements has been there for it came into the market in around the year of 99, 2000. Maybe that's when I finished my engineering. So yeah, it's been long, and this is our 17th release, which is what we call Elements 2019. And when we started, I was not with Adobe, of course, at that time. But what I have heard from of course, Bob Gager and my peers and senior leaders, that Elements, especially the Photoshop Elements, when it came into the existence, the idea was that how we can have a light version. So when it came first time, it was called the Photoshop LE. And LE is the light edition. And the idea was that the team actually here pulled off Photoshop engine and the full version of Photoshop, and actually stripped down a lot of features from that and simplified the whole experience and presented it to the users in terms of Photoshop LE. But over the years, actually, we transitioned and we figured that there's this memory keeper segment, which is what we want to go after, who needs the power, but they don't want the complexity. And that's where we actually make this Photoshop editing much more simpler, approachable for these casual editors compared to the professional or semi-professional editors who may look for the power and complexity, but not these day-to-day, everyday photo editors who wants to quickly edit their family event photographs, doesn't have a lot of time, but still wants to get, differentiate themselves, wants to jump into the creative editing. That's where we actually, in last 4 or 5 years, we actually meandered in a way the Photoshop Elements and the Premiere Elements in the world of photo and video editing for consumers. And during this process, actually, we leveraged lot of automation and content intelligence in the process of photo editing and video editing to simplify the workflows for the users, so that how they can quickly try, quickly edit, not only edit, even organize and share with their friends and family, because they are eventually working with their personal photos and they want the power of Photoshop in a lot of the workflows. They're getting that power, but it's in a very simpler user interface, leveraging a lot of AI and simplification of the product.
Yeah, right. Yes, because I'm not stunningly familiar personally, I will admit, with the later versions of Elements. I work in print, so I've worked with full blown Photoshop since version 1. I do remember the LE editions, and as when Bob was on, we were laughing, not in a bad way, but we were laughing about the original tagline. I think was something like 85% of the power for 15% of the price. I believe that was something along the original marketing. And whilst it didn't differ from the professional Photoshop interface in the first few versions. Although it was a simpler product in that, some of the more professional features had been removed because they were unnecessary. The interface was not any simpler to learn. And I do know that after it was renamed as Elements, that, a lot of work has been put into, it now has a completely different interface to Photoshop itself, obviously. And, a lot of work is put into trying to make it more understandable for the layman, as it were. So, yes, that's very much, I understand the point of that. I noticed you were talking there, you mentioned AI, because how do you talk about, I mean, everybody's, talking about how they're using AI to improve workflows, particularly in photo editing at the moment. How do you, where do you feel the Adobe Elements products sit in the marketplace between, obviously because, Photoshop Elements is not the most lightweight, simplest tool. And obviously it's a long way, well, I say a long way down. It's a long way away from the full-blown, Photoshop CC in complexity, if not necessarily power. So where do you feel that element sits, particularly in relationship to some of the competitors like, say, Pixelmator Pro or Luminar or products like that?
Yeah. So it's very interesting. So Photoshop Elements and the Premiere Elements, specifically the Photoshop Elements, right? As the history says, that we started that as you rightly pointed out, and that's exactly what I have also learned, that you get 80% Photoshop at 20% price tag, but over the period of time, we realized that with the advance of the photo clicking rate and how people have started clicking more and more pictures, there is a need to have a simpler photo editor. And that's where we took that, approach of how we can help these beginner, the everyday photographer to edit their memories and photos in a very simple way. If we talk about the competition for Photoshop Elements, I think what we understand, what I feel is that there are mostly there is this lower end photo editors which are like very quick fix, one touch photo editing, which you can quickly do and then share with your friends and family over your social networks. Or there is this high end other photo editors, which I believe is more more competing with Photoshop. They really want to, go with Photoshop as a competition. Whereas in Photoshop Elements, what we try to do is that, where it's not just one click. We have in Photoshop Elements a quick, guided and expert edit experiences. Quick is for someone who just wants to quickly, it's like for a beginner, everyday photographer who wants to just get started with photo editing, wants to quickly, edit some photos and, create something out of it, because their need is to maybe just edit and then create a collage or a slideshow out of those day-to-day photos. That's where the quick edit features are helpful to them. But, if they graduate from quick, now they actually wants to explore the creative editing. It's just, they just don't want to stop at, quickly fixing those photos. they also want to kind of, expand and, try out some of those creative photos. For example, there are in the guided edit space, we have, I believe we have around 53 odd guided edits now today with 2019. And the idea of guided edit is that, how can we step by step guide the user to create those beautiful creative photos, which otherwise is very difficult for them to create. So if I talk from the competition perspective, if Photoshop Elements is starting with very easy to quick fix kind of photo edits, but then expands towards a creative photo editing, but in a simpler way, in a guided form. And if somebody really wants to expand beyond guided, of course, they have the expert room. And if somebody wants to really go beyond expert, they have Photoshop, which is coming from Adobe again. So they have a pretty good graduation and transition, which I see. And I think the guided workspace is pretty helpful. If I personally talk about, I love the guided edit workflows we have built over the years. It not only focuses on helping those beginner users who wants to learn about how do I resize my photos, but it also helps those users who wants to actually spend their time creating some beautiful creative photos. For example, like in 2019, we have added a new guided edit, which is called multi-photo text. And I clearly remember when I started exploring after building that, I just started exploring that guided, but when I eventually spent time on creating that final output, and then I shared with that my daughter, actually I just wrote my daughter's name and put her different pictures in each of the letters. And then I shared with her. She's a teenager. And when I shared with her, she was like amazed that, how did you do this, Mom? So and then it's a viral thing, for these teenagers. When she saw that, she shared with her friends. She made it a DP in her Facebook and WhatsApp and, all those social platforms. And her friends started asking her that, how did you do this? And so this has started becoming a interesting aspect for other friends of hers that, oh, can we try this? So it's not only for me to, explore and, create something out of it, but eventually, maybe the new age eventually figure out that, how can we start jumping into it? So that's why I love the guided experiences, what we have built so far. And then, of course, the creations and collages which are there, which helps you to tell the stories in a very beautiful way. That's how I see Elements as, there is this lower end competitors, there is this higher end competitors competing with Photoshop, but we are like somewhere in middle, which is like not really low end and not really high end, a graduation in between, helping you easily achieve what you want to do without learning those bells and whistles of complexities.
Okay, so realistically, you would kind of position it as a product for somebody who wants to do more than the absolute basics, straighten, lighten, crop,
Yep.
and would like to basically learn how to progress without having to necessarily, go and get one of those, teach yourself Photoshop books, which you can use to stand on to get cups off the high shelf because they're about 4 inches thick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that sounds very good. I particularly like the idea of guided because obviously we had Jeff Carlson on the show recently, and with respect to photography, we were talking about how the proliferation of good cameras on smartphones has led very much to a proliferation of people not only taking up photography, but because digital photography is in effect free and limitless, unlike the days of film cameras where every shot you had to consider whether you wanted to take it or not, has led to people taking an awful lot more photographs and being able to express their creativity more. So you would say really that Elements is very much for that kind of market segment, people who have maybe not become what you'd call serious photographers yet, but have gone, progressed beyond just the basic, family snaps.
Yeah, absolutely. This is for someone who wants to actually, perfect their everyday photos, especially work with their everyday memories, the family memories, and do something with it. Whether it's about use the guided edits. Otherwise, as you rightly pointed out that, in the Photoshop world, it is so difficult to do that, and people who wants to achieve using Photoshop, they eventually reach out to the different tutorials and, learn through the tutorials to achieve those kind of outputs. But here you can get this within the product, and you can continue to spend as much time you want to express your creativity when you're building this. Or you want to create a beautiful collage or a beautiful video collage or a beautiful video, a slideshow. You have everything in there, and as you rightly pointed that, the proliferation of the cameras now it's very difficult. I sometimes think that with the help of AI and the automation, I think what we are able to help the users today is very unique. Even if I take an example of, let's say, open close eyes, like which is very unique to Elements, where we leverage AI, where it figures out faces in the picture, which is like your family memory. There is a group shot. You have taken a group shot of a family, and everybody is smiling, but there is someone whose eyes is closed at that moment of time. Not everybody has their eyes open, and now this tool which we have introduced in Photoshop Elements, it will automatically figures out that there are faces, there are these eyes, and here are the sliders to actually bring the eyes from the same person, or actually sometimes you can replace with a different person also. But that's something which is unique and which is very much needed today if we talk of those everyday consumers who are clicking those family memories, and these are like genuine problems they have to deal with.
Oh, right. Excellent. Yeah, that sounds very clever. Actually, I like that. That's very much something I think that a lot of people would come across. Yeah, why does Uncle Pete always close his eyes when I snap the shutter? Yeah. So I mean, obviously, the other part. Well, we've been talking mostly about photographs, but as you said at the start, your particular field is more tied to the Premiere side of the application, and obviously, I fully understand that in the same way as Photoshop Elements, the Premiere Elements is a similar kind of product for video. And again, I guess as smartphones have with videos, rather than just have a stream of little clips. So, would you like to tell us a bit about the Premiere product?
Yeah. So Premiere is, again, as we did with Photoshop Elements, Premiere Elements is again the engine of Premiere Pro, the Premiere Pro CC, which we picked up, and then we simplified. We built a very simple user experience on top of that Premiere Pro engine to help this everyday videographers also to edit their videos. And again, in Video Editor, we actually leverage a lot of AI and ML because video editing is, I agree that, with the mobile phones and the cameras in the mobile phones are becoming very powerful, clicking very good videos nowadays. I mean, they can click 4K videos as of today. You have both, the photo capture and video capture cameras in your pocket, and the video capture is spiked like anything in last couple of years. And with that, we have also seen in Elements that people in their catalog have started, importing more and more videos as well, because as we started with our discussion that the Elements is targeting that very unique segment which we call memory keepers, and for them it's memories, right? They don't differentiate between photos or videos. If it's a small kid who is smiling and at the same time taking his first step, should I capture a photo? Should I capture a video? There is a puzzle going on in the mind. And maybe that, the mom is taking a video of that because she eventually wants to cherish that moment. So what we did with the Premiere is that, we also leveraged this AI technology there as well. That, how can we help these users who are clicking a lot of videos as well, but, still have their, overwhelmness about bringing those videos into the video editor and edit them. There are these two tools which I really, like, and I'm really happy about it, that our users would definitely enjoy using them. One which is a trimming tool, which is a very bare minimum which you need for any video editing program, is that you want to trim out those, bad moments or bad bits out of the video. And this tool actually leverage content intelligence, and it analyzes the video content, figures out what are the good bits, what are the bad bits, and based on the style of your video, if it's, the people heavy or a face heavy, it keeps all of those bits where there are people in the video. Or if it is, let's say, action video, somebody's taking it through GoPro and, going through a skiing or a skydiving and taking a video, it figures out through the content analysis that this is a video which was high action. So it keeps the bits which are high action. So this tool is pretty fantastic in a way that, it gets you started quickly without, you being spending that time on going through frame by frame, figuring out which frame I should keep and which frame I should leave. It gives you those, out of 4 minutes video, it, let's say, gives you a 30-second video, which is like good bits which you want to keep. And that's similarly, there is another tool which we have, which we call Candid Moments. And the idea behind that tool is that, now the example which I gave, that, mother is really puzzled. Should I click a video or a photo of my kid taking the first step with a smile? This Candid Moment tool is, again, content intelligence based. It analyzes the video of that kid walking with a smile and actually extracts automatically the best shots in that video. So using Premiere Elements, you have, a trimmed video using the trimming tool, and photos from that video, which is like, best looking photos, which you can eventually share with your friends and family, or use that in your slideshow creation, or just keep it in your organizer catalog and cherish when time comes. So that's where we try to, bridge the gap and help the users who are now capturing a lot of videos, but they still have that, apprehension, that overwhelmness about getting into the video editing.
Oh, well, yeah, that's excellent, because recently at at my local Mac user group, we had a talk, a guy who, in fact, he works in broadcast, for a job, and he came to give everybody a few pointers on, it was before the summer holidays, and he gave a few pointers on, while you're taking, if you're going to take video with your smartphone on your holidays, here's a few pointers, and the pointers were things like, start the video rolling before you actually want to take the shot, and let it roll for a second or two afterwards, because that will, otherwise, and that helps reduce wobble, and you can trim out the bit where you lower the camera and get a shot of your feet. You can trim that out afterwards, but what you can't do is, sort out a wobbly shot because you sort of were trying to click the shutter, the very second you wanted to take the action, and things like that. So it sounds very much that, the tools you're talking about there are very helpful in that ground. So what you're saying is that your intelligent trimming tool would go through and say, okay, so, this is a shot of a tree where he pans in. We don't want that. But then here's all the people. And then at the end, then there's some grass and some shoes. So we don't want that. We'll throw that bit away for you. So
Yeah.
very, very much so. And, I'm assuming that, you have some, simple like anti-shake tools and optical stabilization, which is the sort of thing which AI is very good at.
Yeah. So the Premiere Elements has the shake reduction tool, and it helps to reduce the shake in your video, which is like with the camera phones and the mobile phones, you definitely get those kind of shakes. And sometimes we have seen that Premiere Elements being used by a lot of our action cam users, specifically the GoPro, because it has become like, the everyday users have started using GoPro as well. So they feel that, they need these kind of tools. And of course, we have shake reduction for videos in the Premiere Elements.
Excellent. So, is there anything else particularly new in the 2019 release in both photos and or videos, Kamal?
Oh, yeah, I mean, we have a lot actually. So with 2019, Simon, as we started with, the history of Elements is pretty long, right? And over the period of, year over year, we started building a lot of new tools, very AI-enabled, ML-enabled tools, and started squeezing in. So with 2019, of course, we built new guided edits and all of that. But the idea is that how can we help users to get started easily? How can we help the existing users who wants to find something which is already there? We started hearing quite a few feedback from different channels, from user feedback that, how can I replace the background? Can I bring my dog from the home backyard to a sea beach? How can I do this? How can I build a greeting card? How can I create how can I trim a video? Simple as like that. So with 2019, what we have brought in is an all new home screen. Earlier, there used to be a welcome screen. But with the new home screen, what we are bringing in is that, it is a getting started point. It's where every time when you launch Photoshop Elements or Premiere Elements, it is what you are going to see and welcomes you with. The idea is that how can we give you a personalized experience when you start with the application? So home screen is the home for anything which you would like to get started with, onboarded with very basic stuff in the photo or video editing. Or it could be, inspirational, that how do I create a double exposure, or how do I merge two photos? How do I do a photo merge compose kind of workflows? So it's one of the ways. And of course, there is this, hygiene of launch photo editor, organizer, or video editor that's there. And another feature which we have, introduced in 2019 is the auto creations. Again, it is Adobe Sensei powered, AI enabled new feature. The idea here is that how can we bring the automatic photos and video collages in front of you using your own photos and videos in the catalog. And that's where these auto creations is helping our users, where they, automatically start seeing the photo collages, video collages, candid moments on the home screen, automatically created using their photos and videos. Not only that, it's not just creating automatic creations or collages and slideshows for you, but, you can open them, you can personalize them, you can customize them beyond what you want and how you want it to look like eventually before you preserve it, you save it, or you share with your friends and family. So that's something which is really unique to Elements. Apart from home screen and the auto creations, we also redesigned the photo collage in Photoshop Elements. We have introduced a simple layouts, not only the layouts, but the whole workflow of creating photo collage is now much more simpler and quick to do, which used to be a little longer earlier. And it also helps you to, customize eventually. Once you have photo collage, you can swap the photos, you can resize the photos, you can replace the photos and everything like that. And the hallmark of Elements is the guided edits. And this year in Photoshop Elements, we have introduced 4 new guided edits, which are like, step-by-step guide to help you create, beautiful photo creations or creative photos. The first one which I talked about is the multi-photo text, which enables you to create a beautiful wall art eventually by it as a collage or something like that. The other one is the fun memes. Memes are pretty rage nowadays on the social platforms. So we thought of that, how can we help our everyday users also to quickly build the memes? So that's the other one, which is about you can add filters, borders, and add a text to it, and then create a meme out of it. The third one is about turning a photo into a sketch. People do sketch and then colorize it. Here, what we are saying is, if you have a beautiful scenery, you can create a sketch of a scenery. You can do half and half, or you can partially create a sketch of that scenery. So that's the third one. And the last one is about the text and border overlays, which is about how you can embellish your photos with borders and text, which make them stand out. And eventually you can print it or post it online to any social media.
Yeah. And as it happens, Kamal, I have in fact just clicked onto the Adobe page, which is Photoshop Elements features, and I see here, yes, I can see here the step-by-step guided edits, and there are little videos explaining them all. So I can see here we've got guided edits for results, make fun memes, multi-photo text, turn part of your picture into a sketch, add polish with texts, replace backgrounds. Yep. Oh, yeah. And there's a whole load here. Yes, excellent.
Yeah,
and then there's
a whole list.
It is. Yes, it is. It's a long list, a very long list. Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you very much. So basically, I see here you, as per usual, you have a deal on if you buy the pair together. There's a discount on the pricing if you buy both. And of course, I'm sure all of the listeners know that, in order to find out more, just go to adobe.com and look for Elements, or of course, search for Adobe Elements. There is a lot of information on this page, I have to say. There is a long list of features. So there we go. Excellent. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming to talk to us, Kamal. That's been, very enlightening. And would you like to just, anything else you want to tell us before we sort of sign off?
No, I think I'm pretty excited about Elements, and thank you so much for having me here, Simon. Just keep elementing.
Very good, very good. Yes. Well, no, thank you very much for your time and for all of your colleagues who helped set this up. And good luck, I guess. Good luck with coming up with ever more fantastic things to do with Elements.
Sure.
Fantastic. All right, well, this is where we basically say goodbye. So, goodbye, listeners.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Essential Apple podcast, and I'd like to say if you enjoy the show and would like to support us, feel free to go over to the website essentialapple.com, and you will find links to both Patreon and the Pinecast Tips Jar, where you can make a donation towards the costs of the show, or even if you're really keen, you could set up a recurring payment. And thank you very, very much to all the people who already do support us. We really do appreciate you very much indeed. This show is, of course, part of the My Mac podcasting network, where you can find a variety of other shows like the My Mac podcast with Guy and Gaz, the G-Men, Tech Fan with Tim and David, the Nintendo Club podcast, the geekiest show ever, the Three Geeky Ladies, Bart Bouchotts and his wonderful Let's Talk Apple, and possibly some more that I've forgotten. So why not go over to mymac.com, take a look at the available podcasts,